Preparation is key. Your policy is the most expensive book you'll never read. And even if you did read it, really would you understand it? And I just want to say this, any public adjuster that gets hired and does not ask a homeowner or business owner for their policy first, you don't want to deal with that person. Your personal property, your contents is what it's called. So meaning things like a TV, computer, a desk, things like that. More times than not, and the reason why it's so important to take photographs now as opposed to after is because it's verifying what it is that you are trying to claim. So in the insurance companies, they have a form called the Personal Property Inventory Form. The challenges today for homeowners are obviously getting their claim paid properly. Another challenge that you don't hear about so much is the complicated process that this has become. So it's important that a homeowner either has somebody on their side that can guide them or adjust the claim form, and that's where we come in as public adjusters.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being connected here, 305 office. Today, Thursday, for interviews. Don't forget, because there's 99% of the people that watch this podcast and don't hit the subscribe button. Please don't be the 99% of the people. So we're gonna talk with Mark Streeter. Thank you, Mark Streeter, for being here today. Thank you very much. We're gonna talk about the challenges of homeowners facing with insurance companies and what are those best practices. Mr. Mark Streeter, thank you very much. Welcome to this podcast 305 office.
Thank you so much, Simon. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And yeah, we've got a lot of fun stuff to go over, things that are more interesting, but people really don't want to talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, Mark Streeter, what's your experience as a public adjuster? How began that
Certainly.
journey?
So first of all, I just want to say thank you again, but I want to identify my company as All Points Claim Advisors. We've been around since 2013 as All Points Claim Advisors. Prior to that, I was an independent public adjuster working for a firm. So my public adjusting experience goes all the way back to 2010. And even prior to that, my claims experience goes all the way back to 2008. Wow. I was actually doing third-party claims, which is like automobile accidents, prior to getting into this side of the business. And then I did an apprenticeship. And when I did my apprenticeship as a public adjuster, you had to be an apprentice for a year. And that's no longer the case. In fact, they brought it down to 6 months, and now they may not even do it at all. I'm not real sure about that, but that's something that I don't agree with, because I think that this business continues to evolve and it continues to get more complicated. So anybody coming into the business, if there's anybody listening out there that wants to help homeowners and business owners like I do, you need to find a good mentor. You need to have somebody that's going to shadow you and show you the right things to do, because unfortunately, there are a few bad apples out there that practice what I do, and they ruin it for all of us, and not just for me, but for the policyholders as well.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Also, Mark, understanding this homeowners insurance, so all the system here in Florida. So why should Florida homeowners, they should know, they should be aware of those insurance policies? What should they know first and foremost?
So, and I want to thank you again for this amazing itinerary. I don't know if you used AI for this or what, but I was blown away when I saw it. This is exactly what I would have done. So for everybody out there, we do have an agenda. We're not going off the cuff here. So I'm going to I'm looking at your agenda right now. And one of the things that you stated here was the overview of homeowners insurance challenges in Florida. And I'd like to touch on that a little bit. The challenges today for homeowners are obviously getting their claim paid properly. That's the biggest challenge. But another challenge that you don't hear about so much is the complicated process that this has become. So it's important that a homeowner either has somebody on their side that can guide them or adjust the claim form. And that's where we come in as public adjusters. It's very, very key because there, as we will get into this podcast this morning, we're going to address some things where homeowners have a tendency to trip themselves up. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But the biggest thing is making sure, the challenges are making sure that the claim is properly opened, the claim is properly processed and being managed properly. And those are the challenges. And that's why I have a job. And like I tell folks all the time, the state wouldn't issue me a license to do what I do if insurance companies paid you properly. That's simple.
Exactly. That's it. There's a problem with that, and actually to understand what types of claims we have and what are the steps after before. That's the key point, right?
Absolutely. Preparation is key. People, I think you heard me say this, Simon, when we met the first time.
Yeah.
I said your policy is the most expensive book you'll never read. And even if you did read it, really, would you understand it? Probably not, because it's by design, it's a legal contract. It is all legalese. And I look at these things every day, daily, review them, look for those areas where I feel that we might have an opportunity to find some gray area that we can argue so we can prevail. These are the important things, and this is another thing that a public adjuster will do, a good one. And I just want to say this, any public adjuster that gets hired and does not ask a homeowner or business owner for their policy first, you don't want to deal with that person. Always allow the public adjuster to review your policy prior to even meeting, because that way he or she can be prepared not only when they speak to you, but also highlight the areas and the caveats that may occur and become obstacles down the road. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about transparency and communication is really what it boils down to.
Exactly. Also, there's a thing on insurance company to evaluate the process. They tend to evaluate those claims, those homeowners claims.
Right. So, and it's a really good question. The evaluation process from the insurance side is similar, but very different in some aspects. Similar to what I do, but very different in some aspects. And why is it so different in some aspects? Well, let's just put ourselves in the shoes of an insurance adjuster who works for the insurance company. They have a supervisor, and there's also what we call a desk examiner. This adjuster has anywhere from 50, 60, 70 files, and even more during a catastrophic event. So their job is to write the estimates as quickly as possible, submit the estimate over to the desk adjuster for his or her review as quickly as possible, so they can stay within the timeline that they need to be, that they're allotted for. And I believe right now they just changed it. I believe it's 10 days that the field adjuster has to get their estimate over to the desk adjuster. Now, that being said, the insurance company has 60 days to either assert coverage, meaning pay the claim, or deny the claim. But that being said, on the 59th day, an insurance company, which is an old trick, can actually pull the trigger and say, you know what, we're going to send out an engineer. That's going to buy them another month to 6 weeks. So they can do that.
That will not the company's adjuster. This engineer is another person. Actually.
It's a third party hired by the insurance company. And the reason that they bring out an engineer is when they're looking for a way to deny the claim, basically. But in order to deny a claim, I use the cliche, you have to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. It's not just going to be what the field adjuster saw in the notes that he took with the conversation that he had with the homeowner, but now they want to back it up with an engineer report. And the reason for this is this prepares them in the event that the claim ends up going to litigation.
Right. And also, if you're able to, well, as a realtor, I would like to understand, in order to educate my clients, that's important for me in my job as well, understanding the difference between this public adjuster and the public and the company adjuster.
Right. And I'm
What are
sorry. And
those?
you asked me that at first. I got a little bit off track. So
Mm,
thank you for bringing that back. So
mhm.
the difference is, where I was going with this is, so the field adjusters for the insurance company have a lot of volume, and they have to turn this volume, and this is where I was going with this conversation, and get these reports into the insurance company for their evaluation so they can make a coverage decision as quickly as possible. So what does this mean? So what ends up happening is, there is absolutely no way, Simon, that one single person can walk into someone's house who they've never been seen or met or been inside that property and see every single speck of damage. There's no way. Like I said, they have to be in and out as quickly as possible. So this is why things are overlooked, or sometimes they're underpaid. And so the difference is an insurance adjuster for the insurance company looks at the damage on its face, meaning that if they see water damage on the wall, that's that's direct physical damage. That's what
That's
they doc.
actually the challenges. The challenges is to really determine the damages, and that's where you as a professional come and
Right.
then
To simplify it for everybody out there, imagine going to your primary care physician, and then he refers you to a specialist. I'm the specialist. We're like the surgeons. So we're coming in, and now we're going more dimensionally. So as opposed to just looking at that water damage on that specific wall and saying, one, patch job here, and we'll paint the baseboards and we'll paint the wall, we're going much further. How do we do that? Well, we're looking at the wall saying, well, it's a beige wall, and you have beige going throughout the entire room, going into the hallway where there's no break. So you have continuous paint. So you have to consider that, because no matter how much you try to match paint, as it ages, the pigment changes, whether it's outside or inside. So even if you go to Home Depot and they're pretty good at matching paint, I guarantee when you put that paint on and when it cures and when it dries, you're going to see a slight difference. Nobody else will notice it, but you'll notice it. So that's not really putting you back to your pre-loss condition. So the difference is, again, between us and the insurance adjusters for the insurance company, is we are looking to make them whole again, to put them back to their pre-loss condition. Now, that doesn't mean that the insurance company is going to agree with everything that we put in our estimate to get there. They won't. They won't. And we know that. But at least we're going to be able to raise the bar a little bit, or enough, where we can get the homeowner enough money so they can get their life back together and they can make it look in its best light, as good as possible.
also that and there is the importance for these best practices that we're gonna talk about on what to do before filing this claim. So that's important to understand that
Excuse me.
there's
Sorry, I had to get some water.
no,
My
no, it's
throat's dry.
okay. It's okay. So the key policy details for homeowners that they should review before an issue arrives. So that's that.
So a couple and let's just really bring it down even more general and basic. Number one, know where your policy is at. So many people don't even have a copy of their policy, especially now, since these insurance agents have cut back on sending out the full policy jacket, is what it's called, in its entirety, because it's usually about 60 to 80 pages. Instead of sending a hard copy, what they'll do is they'll email it to you. But more times than not, if you don't ask for it, you won't have it. So let's talk about that for a moment. We're coming into hurricane season. Folks, everybody out there, I don't know how many people are watching. I'm telling you, if you take away anything from this podcast, make sure you get your policy today from your insurance agent. Super important. Don't wait until June when hurricane season is coming, or wait till something happens. Get it now. So this way, they'll email it to you in a PDF format. You'll have it on your desktop or wherever you need, and it's available to you. Now, the nice thing about this is, and I'm going to give you your listeners and our viewers here a little tip and secret that I use. When you get the policy, if you use a program like Adobe Acrobat, they have an OCR where you can run in the search, a term, water damage, whatever it is. They even have AI connected to it now.
Right.
So now, instead of having this daunting situation of looking through pages and pages of legal nonsense, you can get right to what it is that you're looking for: water damage, smoke damage, mold damage, whatever it is. And you'll be able to go through your policy and find those specific areas that speak to that.
Well, you can actually go, for example, you can use, for example, ChatGPT, and you can get your policy.
Yes.
You can upload the policy on ChatGPT.
Yes.
And just and they can give you, it can give you a summary of the policy, and you can ask questions about this policy right now.
Yes, 100%. You're right. And we use ChatGPT also. It's 100% correct. However, now with that being said, the disclaimer is don't depend on ChatGPT 100%.
Yeah.
And don't depend on Adobe Acrobat 100%, any of these. Reason why I was speaking, and I use ChatGPT. Actually, I use it for analysis.
Right.
So the reason why we like Adobe Acrobat is because when we're getting it, it's in a PDF. I have it, I bring it up, boom, it's right there. I don't have to upload it into ChatGPT, put it on the phone and do that kind of thing.
Right.
So, but whatever, any of those ways work. Now, but like I said, don't hang your hat, because you're still going to come across things that you're not going to understand. But at least you're going to have a better idea of what your policy entails. And that's going to help a public adjuster like myself, because now I can speak to you, the client, within the same language of what's going on, as opposed to me taking time trying to explain the policy to you, and then you're just completely lost because none of it makes any sense. At least now we can address it side by side and look at it together, and then I can go through it.
Now, why keeping updated these records of photos of your home is so crucial on the homeowner side?
So what happens in any type of a situation, whether it be fire, hurricane, water damage, whatever it is, one of the first things that always is affected besides the building is obviously your personal property. Your contents is what it's called. So meaning things like a TV, a computer, a desk, things like that. More times than not, and the reason why it's so important to take photographs now as opposed to after is because it's verifying what it is that you are trying to claim. So in the insurance companies, they have a form called the Personal Property Inventory Form. Public adjusters legally are not supposed to fill this form out for the homeowner, because this is for your personal property. So, and you also have to sign it. So it's actually, and a lot of people don't talk about this either, it's actually illegal for a public adjuster to do it, although some do it. Now, that's not to say that I can't do my own form and fill it in to make it organized for myself. But where I'm going with this, the reason for the photographs, is because you want to show what you had for two reasons. One, if you don't have receipts, at least you can say, hey, here it is. And by the way, when I speak, if you don't have receipts, if you're taking pictures of things like a TV or something of that nature, turn it, if you can get the picture on the back side of where the serial number is, that's even better. I mean, now, if you do that, you're doing 90% more than the average homeowner out there. But if you just have photographs of the room, that's still very, very helpful because it's verifiable. And now the insurance company, because they will ask for photos, can take a look at it. If you have receipts and photos, oh my gosh, that's even better. So it goes back to the more we can provide the insurance company, the more we are going to stay engaged in the process. And the more, believe it or not, it makes the life of the field adjuster or the adjuster for the insurance company easier. And why do we want that? Well, there's an old saying, I don't know how you say it in Spanish, but you get a lot more with sugar and honey than you do with piss and vinegar. And that's
Exactly.
the truth. So if when I give a file to an adjuster to the best of my ability, where it's wrapped up just minus a bow, do you think that adjuster is going to look at my file first, or is he going to look at somebody that's just randomly sending him receipts and, no photos? And no, they're going to go to us and they're going to take a look at that.
Exactly.
And then he's going to contact me and we'll go through it together. So that's why
Right.
it's so important to have photos.
The professional approach with a professional like you, that's key as well. But to be covered and to be actually with the right side of the situation. So the importance, we're in Florida, Mark, so it's important to maybe understand those hurricane deductibles and the exclusions that in Florida for those policies for homeowners, Mark.
So before we move on to that, just one closing
Sure,
thought.
sure.
And I want people to understand, as you and I are discussing this, that the more that we work as a team, the homeowner, the business, we are a team together. The more that that's how all my clients, I communicate with them on a regular basis, which is key. It's important. Ask them for things, and I am facilitating everything. I am basically the quarterback, if you will, of the team. So when we work together as a team, all these things, going back to what we were just talking about, the photos, the receipts, all these things, and they're all organized, I'm telling you, our chances of getting a better payment increase by about 20%, believe it or not.
Wow, it's important.
Yep. Yep.
Yes,
So
sir.
now
Yes, sir.
getting, and that's 20% extra, by the way. That's not
Exactly.
because hiring a public adjuster, you're always going to get a third to 2/3 more than what you would get on your own anyway. So now if we have it organized, now we're going to put on another 20% because it's just making everybody's life easier.
Yeah, exactly.
So getting into the deductibles.
Yeah.
So your hurricane deductible is a percentage of the dwelling. So it's called the declarations page. Everybody has it. What the insurance companies will send out, instead of sending the entire policy jacket that we were talking about, they will send a declarations page. And a declarations page is kind of like a table of contents in a book. So it just summarizes, very, very basic, what the coverages are. It doesn't get into the details. It doesn't get into the exclusions, and it doesn't get into the amendments and endorsements. It will have a list of the endorsements, just a bunch of numbers and things like that. My point is that the declarations page, if the homeowner doesn't have the full policy, at the very least, we need the declaration page to review that. On the declaration page, it will have your deductible. On average, for a home, it's called an HO3 policy. That's a homeowner's policy. You're probably familiar with it because you're a realtor. All other perils, AOP, is usually $2,500. That's usually the deductible. On a hurricane, the hurricane deductible is based on a percentage of the dwelling. So you have coverage A, which is your dwelling. You have coverage B, which is other structures. You have coverage C, which is contents, which is what we were just talking about for personal property. And then D would be like for loss of use or loss of rent or something like that. So you have all these coverages. So the hurricane deductible is based off a percentage of the dwelling. The dwelling is the largest number. So if your house was worth, say, $300,000, they're never going to assess the house at that for the purpose of insurance. They're probably you're going to have a coverage of like $235,000 or something like that. So that percentage is either going to be 2%, 3%, it could be as high as 6% of the dwelling. The reason for that is, and the reason for the higher deductible, is what happens in a windstorm event. The first thing to go typically is the roof. So this is the reason behind having the higher deductible, because the claim valuation is going to be much higher than it normally would for something that would happen on a daily basis, such as a pipe break or something like that.
Right. So And for Mark Streeter, what are the biggest mistakes the homeowners make when they file a claim?
Not calling us first. That's seriously, that's it.
Yeah.
The second biggest mistake is they may be opening a claim that it's not necessary to open a claim. I will guide people. I'm very, very honest when it comes to this process. I've been doing it a very long time. I'm all about the big picture and not the short-term gains. That's not what this is about. So I have a homeowner right now, today, has a major mold issue in a beautiful mansion that she just discovered. I have been going back and forth and evaluating things we haven't opened up the claim yet to see how the odds are going to play against us against this situation, because this is something that had been going on for a while. So where I'm going with this is that I explained to her, there's a 50-50 shot that this claim is going to get denied. And here's why. She still wants to proceed with the claim. Knowing that, I have no problem doing it. Instead of me over-promising and under-delivering, now we're on the same page with communication, and she realizes that there is a 50% possibility of getting this denied. What happens in relation to your question is people, more times than not, will open up claims and then bring me in after, knowing I knew once I read everything that the claim would have been denied right out of the gate. And it was. And that makes things much more difficult. And some people don't care. They still want to move forward with that. And if we do, I obviously will attempt and do everything I can to overturn the denial, but it's very, very difficult. Excuse me, I can't take it. Hang on one second. I'm sorry. I want to make sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it's very, very difficult to overturn a denial as a public adjuster. It's not impossible, but it's very rare. So what happens if I can't get that denial overturned? Now our only choice is litigation. And that's a different process down the road. It takes very long, as you can imagine, 1.5 to 2 years to get these things resolved.
And Mark, and in those cases of denial, how long homeowners have to dispute those claims, and
5 years.
also 5
5
years
years.
to reopen the case?
They can, yeah. But well, we'll talk about that because it's a little
Tricky.
tricky and complicated. I'm going to break it down for you about the time frame to open and reopen claims. So let's just get. I just want to stay on the topic about what homeowners do that can jeopardize their claim. Well, the first thing is that a homeowner is very proud of their house. It's their sanctuary. It's their happy place. Well, at least we hope it is anyway. The point being is that because of that, homeowners have a tendency to talk too much. And in the world of legalese, if you will, less is more. Because homeowners, more times than not, will shoot themselves in the foot because the insurance company will say, Simon, tell us a little bit, we got your claim. Tell us what happened. Well, I found mold, and, I noticed this stain on my ceiling. And when did you notice that? Well, I noticed it like about a month ago, but I really didn't think about doing anything about it. But now I've got this smell in the house. You're going to get denied.
Lack of preparation. Yeah.
You're going to get denied because you are to notify the insurance company within a 14-day period if you're going to open once you notice damage. But the thing is that they will take you down the road that this has been going on much longer by asking you a question. Well, do you think it was going on for a while, Simon? You don't know. You go, yeah, probably. It's probably been going on for a long time. Bad. Very, very bad. Because that means that it wasn't addressed, you're not maintaining the home. That is an exclusion within your policy. So right there, they'll open the claim and you'll proceed with the claim. And then about a month later, you're going to get a letter either in the mail or via email that says your claim has been denied because of these exclusions here.
Exactly.
That this is a long-term issue and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Well, Mark, we're almost running out of time on this podcast. We try to
Okay.
cover as many as we could,
Oh my gosh.
but
Yeah. I thought we had 90 minutes.
yeah. Also, it's really our field. On well, we cover many stuff, but maybe we can make some last observations, last comment,
I
last
would love to
thought.
have the opportunity as we enter closer into hurricane season
Yeah.
to revisit some of these things for
Yeah.
hurricane.
Sure. You have last comments for
The,
for
yes,
yeah.
I do, Simon.
Sure.
Before anyone out there thinks about opening a claim, if they want to call my direct number, can I give them my direct number? Is that okay?
Ah, sure. For
It's you can call me. There's my personal cell phone for people of this podcast. I normally don't give that out, but I'm going to give it out here. Is 561-633-06. We are in Miami.
we're gonna put it in the we're gonna put it in the comments as well,
Yeah.
and it will be
I mean, we have a Miami
great.
number, but I'm giving these folks my personal cell phone. So, which is by my side all the time. So if there's any questions, if you're thinking about opening a claim, whether you want to hire me or not, that's not what this is about.
Exactly.
I will guide you and I will let you know if it makes sense or doesn't. That's my closing statement.
That's right. Also, Mark, a little comment just outside your scope, just because I like to make this question because of the nature of the future and the economy and what is happening right now. Do you own Bitcoin?
Yes.
You own Bitcoin. Good. So well, in all those in this environment, well, we I think we gotta be prepared. We gotta count on professionals like you. So thank you very much. All your information will be down there in the comment section. Whether you're looking, where you're watching here on Spotify, on LinkedIn, or YouTube. Thank you very much.
Thank
Mark
you.
Streeter, a website for your company or
Yes.
something else?
You can go to www.propertydamagenow.com. Property Damage Now, or you can also
I
go.
like that. Property damage now.
You can go allpointsclaims.com. It goes the same place. Allpointsclaims.com or propertydamagenow.com.
points.
We've got a beautiful website with a lot of good information on it.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Streeter Mark. Thank you, and
You're very welcome.
see you in the next time.
All right.
Have a
Take
great
care. Thank
day.
you for the opportunity. Bye-bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.